Hello and welcome to Views from the Sideline, episode 12. I'm your host, Chris Pappas, back at this March Madness update. With me is my co-host, Joey Tysick. Say what's going on, Joe.
How's everybody doing?
And back with us in the studio, it's Malik Hill, host of Turnover Thursdays. You can hear that at 7 a.m. at 88.3 WXOU The Grizz. He's back in the studio to break down all things Michigan, all things college hoops. How you doing, Malik?
Go Blue. I can't believe my team is in the Final Four.
Go Blue is right. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that a lot on the show today. We're right in the thick of March Madness right now. A lot of crazy stuff going on. Not to mention Loyola Chicago. Our team, we picked them to go to the Elite Eight. They one-upped us. They're in the Final Four right now. We'll break down their matchups and everything. But let's kind of get into the rundown here. We're going to break down the Elite Eight, break down some of the Sweet 16, preview the Final Four for you. Of course, we're going to talk some Pistons. I know it's that time of year where we're about to kind of.
Hey, we're almost done with them. We're almost done.
Hey, we can get to our draft preview, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Well,
it's a joke. It's a joke.
We can talk about other NBA teams, actually.
So we're going to talk a little bit Pistons on their uptake. Reggie's back. A certain New York Knick made the news last night. I want to kind of touch on a little bit. And we just kind of break down everything Pistons. So let's get into it right away here. The Sweet 16. First matchup was Kansas State versus Kentucky. Kansas State won that one 61-58. A lot of people picked Kentucky in that one. A lot of people riding with Coach Cal. And I got to say, I was kind of surprised Kansas State got that win.
You did pick Kansas State, though, last week.
I picked Kansas State.
And me and Malik went with Kentucky.
Because I think I said I know a lot of people are going to go with, like, the name.
Yeah, I think you just went for that surprise pick.
So, you know, of course I picked Kansas State. I knew I was going to be right with that.
Yeah, sure.
But anyways, yeah. Joe, what'd you see from that one?
Man, Kansas State was just tough in that game. I don't know necessarily what they did specifically that stopped Kentucky, but Kentucky just didn't look that good. I felt like they didn't use Gabriel, their center, to his fullest potential in that game either, because I think he's really good. I think his skill set is basically what people look for these days, where he's big and tall and long, but he can still shoot the ball. And Kansas State did. I'm saying they just had more heart in this game. It looked like they were scrapping, and they did what they needed to do to get this win.
And Kansas State was really kind of in control of this game the whole way through. They kind of held consistently a 5-point lead through and through until the end. It got a little bit close. Really, Kentucky's only offense came from P.J. Washington. He had 18 points, 15 rebounds. He was dominant for the Wildcats. Malik, what'd you see from that one? Is there anything in particular? I mean, outside of Xavier Sneed kind of putting it out there for Kansas State.
P.J. Washington missed 12 free throws.
Hey, he had 18 and 15, Malik, okay?
P.J. Washington missed 12 free throws. They lost by 3?
They lost by 3.
All he had to hit was 4. 4 out of those 8. That's all he had to hit. That's a win. That's a Kentucky win.
How many free throws did he take?
20.
8
for 20 from the free throw line.
He's shooting that Andre Drummond, that vintage Andre Drummond free throw
Listen,
percentage.
Congratulations to Kansas State for this run. Bruce Weber they've been talking smack about him for years.
Good to see, yeah.
He goes from Illinois to Kansas State. He finally makes a run. But Kansas State got lucky. We saw
Hey,
you gotta
make your free throws.
They were tough
in the clutch.
Yes, you gotta make your free throws. I agree with Joey. They were very tough. They out-toughed Kentucky.
It's funny though, because I used to hear a lot of people tell me that, why do you watch the NBA? And I always say, I don't know, there's better talent in the NBA. That's why it's exciting. They do all these things. And people are like, what? They can't even make their free throws. People always think somehow that the NBA is worse at shooting free throws than college. Nobody actually looks at the college free throw numbers. Just look at this tournament, all these teams that struggle with free throws in the clutch. And I think the biggest part too is because in college, you don't get as many chances. You don't have as many games as the NBA, so you don't get that rhythm throughout the season to make your free throws. Like, there's been a couple guys that you see at the line that they're like, oh, yeah, he's only been at the line 15 times all year. Like, what the heck? So his percentage is really low, and he doesn't have that opportunity. But free throws are a big deal in college basketball. It can, especially in the tournament, can make or break a team, and definitely broke Kentucky in this game.
Yeah. And moving on, I mean, we had kind of the team of the show here, Loyola Chicago against Nevada, which turned out to be an awesome game. That was
another single point win.
I think we said that was going to be the game of the weekend too. I think last week.
That was the one that I was looking forward to the most.
I mean, the Martin twins were fantastic down the stretch. Especially Caleb Martin was fantastic.
Yep.
I mean, it all came down to a Marquise Towns triple at the end to send the Ramblers onto the Elite Eight. But that was a heck of a game, Joe.
Yep.
Break it down for us. What'd you see?
It's Loyola Chicago. They shoot.
Sister Jean.
They shoot so well. Their field goal percentage is always high. They take quality looks. They play really good defense. They just have everything going for them. It's so fun to watch this team because they do it from so many different aspects of their team. They're not just one player. Sometimes that you see from these smaller schools, you get like one or two guys that really carry the team. There's no one guy that carries this team very much. My favorite player, though, for Loyola Chicago is definitely Clayton Custer. I think he does a really good job controlling the tempo of the game.
He's really he's
really just really under control, and that's really good for a team to say, hey, our leader, as in the point guard, is under control. Then it calms everybody else down, and he gets everybody involved. And I think this team is just very dangerous. This Final Four that we're going to talk about will be really exciting.
It's crazy to be talking about the Ramblers in the Final Four, but to kind of piggyback on Custer there, to say he was under control was kind of the perfect thing to say. He was 7 of 9 from the floor, played 34 minutes. He didn't turn over the ball very much. He was that floor general you needed on the court. Malik, you got anybody in particular that kind of stood out from you aside from Custer?
What's the name of their big man down low? I can't remember his name.
Krutwig.
Krutwig?
Yeah, Krutwig.
He's not very athletic. He's not very quick, but he is skilled down low.
Yeah,
I like
he's
kind of
one of those gumpy guys, but he is good.
Exactly.
And solid, big body.
They do some really nice coaching with Krutwig too, because he only played 13 minutes in the game, but they use him situationally.
Exactly.
Like down the stretch, they'll use him for a quick bucket. They'll get him off the court when the matchups are bad because they know his foot speed is not good at all. He can't really compete with other athletic centers. And I thought they did a really good job coaching down the stretch there, which really kind of propelled them at the end of that game. But yeah, the starters played big-time minutes. You had Custer play 34, Towns 31, Richardson 36, all the way. And then even the Martin twins played 40 and 34. It was really kind of a starter-heavy game in this one. Loyola got the win, 69-68. And then going on to that West region, Florida State played Gonzaga, and I was a little...
I think I predicted this. This is another one of those games that I predicted right, that you guys thought for some reason that Gonzaga was going to go against it. I knew that at some point Gonzaga would somehow blow it. I don't know. I just had a feeling, and I
feel like you could say that every year.
Well, yeah. I mean, but I just kind of hoped for it this year. So,
was there anything in particular that made you think that Florida State was going to beat Gonzaga? Or
I said it last week, where they're long and athletic, and they're hard to beat sometimes because they push the tempo so hard.
Yeah,
and they play pretty solid defense, but they're just a massive team in general. Like,
I mean,
we'll talk about it later when they.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later, but I just want to try to get his pronunciation down. Obiagu is that somewhat close? I don't know.
Listen, they're two big men. Their starting center is 7'4", and his name is Christ. That's intimidating enough from the start.
Right.
Then you have a guy off the bench that blocks like 4 or 5 shots
in about 10 minutes.
Exactly.
Well, the reason why too is because he commits so many fouls he can't stay on the court.
Yeah, but still.
But yeah, you're right. And it wasn't even really that close of a game. The 75-60 was your final for Florida State, and they really kind of held on to this game ever since the last few minutes of the first half. I believe it was like 31-30 Gonzaga, and then Florida State kind of propelled their way ahead to win that one. Moving on, Michigan over Texas A&M. Michigan could not miss a shot.
This was the Big Ten tournament Michigan team that we saw.
Yes.
Finally.
They scored 52 points in the first half.
Yeah, we haven't seen them all tournament long, and they showed up for this game. That was a big game because a lot of people thought this would be their tougher test, that maybe they didn't look good enough, and if they didn't start out hot, that they would be in trouble, and they started out really hot.
Well, personally, I was not too worried against Michigan against going Texas A&M. I was more worried about them going against Houston. And Houston, that was a tough matchup.
I was scared for Texas A&M. I wasn't nearly as nervous for Houston,
A&M,
but
same thing.
So now Malik's our resident Michigan guy here right now. Malik, break it down for us. What'd you see that went right for Michigan that they have to try to duplicate here in this in the Final Four.
Well, this one is hard to break down because it's almost impossible to duplicate the shooting performance they put on in that game. I mean, once they got up by about 15 in the first half, I had a good feeling. Once it became 33-12 and they couldn't miss a 3-pointer, I was like, this is a different type of game.
I mean, it wasn't even close. It started out 9-2, and that was probably the closest it ended up getting.
Plus, they were playing suffocating defense. They were getting great shots. I mean, that's the best I think they've played all year.
They scored 99 points. That's the highest point total they've had all season. So,
and I'm extremely impressed with how Charles Matthews is playing in this tournament. He's putting a lot of the offensive load on his back.
He was my guy that needed to step up in this tournament, and he's doing it. And I'm liking what I'm seeing because he gives Michigan that other aspect of aggressiveness that they need, because a lot of the times they start to settle. And we saw what happened with Michigan State when they settled for shots, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if Michigan has Charles Matthews getting to the basket like that, that's a really good sign.
Shouts out to Ben Carter.
Moving on. But Mo Wagner, I thought, really had a good game.
Fantastic.
Offensively, again, he finishes with only 3 rebounds. It's going to be problematic for Wagner to not get on the glass in any of these games. I mean, especially here in the Final Four, I'm not so sure. He could maybe get beat up a little bit by Krutwig.
I mean,
Krutwig could expose Mo Wagner on the glass.
I think he did all right in the Florida State matchup, at least battling for boards, at least getting tips and hands on the ball. He does a good job at getting there. He just, for some reason, can't secure the rebounds, and that's kind of the biggest concern.
Yeah. Duncan Robinson, I think we need to see a little bit more out of him. Maybe not.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to give up on Duncan a little bit.
You've already given up on Duncan.
But
how can you give up on Duncan?
I think just because I don't see the aggressiveness that I want to see out of him.
I feel like he was way more aggressive in the Big Ten tournament than he has been in.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And he's looked a little passive.
Like they even started Livers in this one too.
Yeah,
over Duncan.
I mean, he's been coming off the bench a lot this season, which is fine.
They've been kind of moving him in and out too.
Yeah,
though.
So I don't know. It's just a weird thing, and we'll talk about that in the Elite Eight matchup that they had.
Yeah. And then in the East, we had Nova against West Virginia. West Virginia probably went as far as we all expected them. I mean, they went farther than I thought they were going to go. Nova just is kind of the better team, led by Jalen Brunson, who, in my opinion, is the best college basketball player in the nation.
I will let everybody know, though, if West Virginia would have won that game and Michigan wins the whole thing, I would have won in my bracket pool.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, technically, I would have tied with my mom, but my mom has won in the past before.
Shout out Mama Tysick.
That's right. And she's always wanted a shout out, so here it is. But so now I have to kind of root for Michigan, but that was my one chance, so I'm out of my pool. But I can't lose.
It was
either.
A good run, Joe.
I can't get last, so that's always a good thing too.
Yeah, you never want to be last in that bracket pool. Never.
No.
Especially when you say you know about sports and you come out
especially
last.
when there's a lot of family involved that don't know anything about basketball. But that's just how it goes in the tournament sometimes.
Yeah. Is there anything you guys want to touch on here with the Nova West Virginia game, Malik? Anything that you want to bring up at all on this one?
I mean, Villanova, they were better talent wise. I think they were better coaching wise. I think it was a mismatch for West Virginia. Villanova was just the better team overall.
Yeah, well, West Virginia played the game hard though. They held the lead for a long time and they just kind of ran out of gas, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, no, they were winning up until about that 10-minute mark in the second half. It was 60-60 and Nova had a triple.
Right. And I think that's attributed to Bob Huggins' coaching and
yeah.
The style of defense that they play is pretty tough, but I think they just kind of ran out of gas towards the end of that game.
Yep, and then Texas Tech 78-65 over Purdue. That one was pretty close all the way through until the end, kind of as well. And that's kind of a trend in the tournament in the Sweet 16.
Something to point out in this game that my dad told me, because I didn't watch this game all the way through. I had some obligations to get to, but Carson Edwards didn't wear his wheat LeBrons.
Really?
Yeah. Which is what he wore
Looks
all
like we found
Big Ten tournament.
He still scored 30 though.
But still, like, he scored 40 earlier in the year. I don't know.
I feel like it's more so Haas not playing, but
no, it might be.
I like the Joe. I like the Joey.
Yeah, that was just something to point out that I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, it was kind of a tale of two halves for this one too. Texas Tech was up 30-25, more of a defensive first half there, and then everybody kind of balloons in that second half. Texas Tech, I believe, outscored them 48-40 in the second half. And I mean, when you score almost 50 points in a 20-point half, especially in college basketball, that's pretty huge.
Right. It's hard to deal with.
Yeah. So I mean, Texas Tech just outplayed Purdue in that one. It's unfortunate Haas went out early in the tournament because Purdue could have.
Yeah, they were a team that I thought could have been Final Four easily.
Yep.
Especially with their bracket that they were in.
Yeah, they had a good situation and really just kind of unraveled with that Haas injury.
Right.
And then moving on, we had Kansas won over Clemson 80-76. Clemson gave them a nice game. Again, another high-scoring second half in this one too. Yeah. But Gabe DeVoe, 31 points, 10 of 17 from the floor for Clemson. He was all over the place, led the team in rebounding and assists for the Tigers. I mean, he was really all over the place.
I think Clemson surprised a lot of people this year.
They did.
They definitely made a deeper run than I expected. I know they were good early on in the season, but they struggled towards the end of the regular season, and I think a lot of people kind of forgot about them, including myself, and they made a good run. They had a good tournament.
Yeah, they had a lot of good play from a lot of good players, too.
But
not even
Kansas is just kind of on another level.
Kansas is a really good team. I mean, you have talent all around the floor there that it's really tough to deal with. Malik, did you see anything from? I mean, Malik Newman had a solid game. He had 17 and 4. Yeah. Was there anything really that stood out for you from Kansas's perspective that they kind of took on to Clemson?
I mean, from the Kansas standpoint, throughout this entire tournament, their talent, Devontae Graham, Malik Newman, Sviatoslav, their talent and their shooting has just outwilled several teams. Yeah. I mean, no matter how many different adjustments you make on defense, Bill Self draws up something because he has a player. He'll hit Malik Newman open in the corner for a three. Devontae Graham will find somebody for alley-oop. I mean, there are so many options on that Kansas offense that it's almost impossible to stop at times.
And Devontae Graham, even when he doesn't have the greatest of games, he seems to have some of the most timely shots. Kansas is in a rut. They need a basket. Devontae hits a 30-foot three to kind of get the crowd going, get the team rolling again. So, I mean, that's hard to deal with as an opposing team when you're playing the best defense you can possibly, and then Devontae Graham hits you with a 30-foot triple, and all of a sudden Kansas goes up and they have the momentum. So that's kind of tough to deal with. Moving on, that was the wrap for the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. Let's go back to the South region. Kansas State versus Loyola Chicago. Loyola, 78-62.
Ran them off the court.
Ran them off the court. Yes,
their biggest win of this tournament.
I did not see that coming. I thought.
What is his name? Ben Richardson?
6 of 7 from 3.
Man, that guy shot lights out
Holy
in that
cow.
game.
I don't think he scored over 20 for the season.
No,
this was just his game.
I think he had a career high, actually.
Okay.
Of like 23, I think.
Yeah, it was 23.
But he shot lights out. And that's where I said, like, Loyola Chicago has all these threats that you don't even know about. And they just come out of there and they shoot so well and they take good looks every time. They're hard to beat, and Kansas State was looking pretty good going into this game. And
yeah, I was surprised that they kind of just laid flat.
Yeah, they just fizzled out. Snead didn't look good at all in this game. He struggled, which he kind of got them past Kentucky. And I don't know, Loyola Chicago just getting it done again.
Mean, Kansas State shot Loyola shot 57% from the floor, and Kansas State's a defensive team that's gonna hit you pretty hard. Not to mention when Loyola shooting 50% from deep, they went 9 of 18 from the 3 line, and Kansas State can't get a stop. They're not that offensively powered to match up
to
against
make a comeback.
Yeah, exactly. When they get down, they really.
And that's the hardest part about Loyola Chicago is that they shoot such a high percentage. They've done it all year long, and because nobody really knows about them, they don't know like how dangerous they are, and they just take good looks, quality looks, and they play hard defense. So that's a hard thing to play against in college basketball.
Yeah. I mean, they led by as many as 23. Anything else you guys want to talk? I feel like this is pretty.
Yeah, that was a pretty convincing win.
Yeah, convincing win. There wasn't really much underlining things to talk about there after that one. And then kind of the game we really need to break down here. Florida State versus Michigan.
Whew.
That was a close game, a tough game. Defensive game. Just the complete opposite of the Sweet 16 matchup for Michigan. Michigan pulls it out 58-54. Some questionable coaching down the stretch there. Florida State decided not to foul, only down 4 with about 11 seconds left. Malik, I want to throw it to you. And that I want to still talk about the beginning of the game, but that's definitely the headline coming out of this one. If you're in that situation, the coach of Florida State, are you fouling with down 4 with 11 seconds left, or are you riding with that decision?
In that situation, because this is the NCAA tournament, anything can happen. It's called March Madness for a reason. If it's over 10 seconds left and you don't foul, I think that's a problem. You have to do something because you have to know that anything can happen. Even though if they fouled Duncan Robinson, who was their best free throw shooter, odds are he would have hit both. But there are also
you never know.
There are also odds that he could miss both and you could hit a 3. Anything can happen in March. I think he should have took the chance.
Yeah, especially in. I don't remember verbatim what he said post game, but he said to the effect of, "We were down 4, the game was pretty much over."
Yeah,
But early in the season, they were in the same situation. I believe they were down 6 or 7 with about 18 seconds left. He still fouled. I can't remember the exact game. ESPN came out with an article after the whole incident, but it was just really interesting down the stretch. Now let's go Michigan. Let's talk about the Michigan side of things. It was defensive. It was a defensive-minded game, Joey. Charles Matthews played really well.
Another great game.
Game by Charles Matthews. Big-time plays down the stretch. What's your take from this one?
Charles Matthews saved the game for Michigan.
He's looking like the Kentucky player everybody thought he was.
Yeah, he gave Michigan just enough to get by Florida State because if he didn't get aggressive early on in this game and attack like he did, Michigan was going to fall flat on their face and they were not going to get anywhere. Mo Wagner was 0 of 7 from the three-point line. I know you want to keep the guy shooting, and I liked it, but I wish, and this isn't really like a coaching thing either. This is more on the players. They need to give it to Wagner in the post a little bit more. We've seen it throughout the season where he looks like a young Dirk Nowitzki. So I think he's got that talent pool in him, but they don't, like he would post up. They kept switching Florida State to their guards, and Wagner would have their guard on his back, and he'd be posting up, calling for the ball, and the guards would just look at Wagner and then dribble the other way. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense to me, especially like we said, he's kind of their anchor on the offense, and he's shown that he has a very big skill set. So I don't know why they didn't take advantage of that, and I don't know. That was just a weird one for me because they needed some sort of offense. Obviously, with the threes not falling for him, you always want to try to figure yourself out into a rhythm.
Yeah.
Try to get him some easier looks. And there was a couple times that they did, and he made the basket.
Yeah, I really think Florida State's length and athleticism played a huge role in this one, being really a defensive basketball game. Michigan shot 18% from deep. 18%.
I think that shows why they're a Final Four team because even old Michigan teams, when they miss threes, there's no way they're winning the game. And even this year's team, when they miss, they still have a chance because of defense and effort.
And their defense has been locked down ever since January.
Yep.
Ever since they inserted Xavier Simpson back into the lineup, and he's been kind of rejuvenated. This Michigan team has kind of taken a boost ever since then and haven't looked back.
I'm going to also bite my tongue on this a little bit, but I think Xavier Simpson did a good job in this game. He didn't do much overall. Like
he shut down their.
He didn't.
Yeah, he shut down their point guard.
He did it more on the offensive end, but he controlled the ball well. Which
he did.
In some of the previous games, I've seen him throw the ball away, just like passing to a cutter, expecting him to be there, and just kind of throwing it willy nilly. And I think he played pretty good in this game. I think he kept the game under control. My one question to you guys is, why does Livers and Poole, why are they not seeing play in this tournament? Because I think that was a big asset for them in at least the Big Ten tournament, having that energy off the bench with those two. They seem to really play well together. And for some reason, we're not seeing them in the tournament. And I don't know why Beeline's kind of decided to go that way. And I feel like, especially with some of the struggles that they've had, they've needed other guys to be a spark.
Well, I think on the Isaiah Livers side, he isn't a good enough offensive weapon yet. I think he will be in a year or two as he continues to develop in that Michigan system. But when it gets down to the last 5 minutes of the second half, you need people in the game that get buckets. You put in somebody else instead of Isaiah Livers. And with Jordan Poole, I think he's somewhat cooled off since his hot stretch in the second half of the season.
I mean, really the only thing Jordan Poole has done in a long time was the buzzer beater, which is huge. Don't get me wrong, but other than that, it's really just been dunking.
But that's what I'm partially saying is that he hasn't gotten the time. Like in this game against Florida State, he played 2 minutes. They had what was his name, Jonathan Simmons.
for Florida State?
Jerron Simmons.
Jerron Simmons.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Magic. Jerron Simmons played 6 minutes in this game. And when I saw him come in, I was like, I haven't really seen much out of him. And for me, I like Jordan Poole off the bench. And for him to not play as much just seemed a little odd, I guess.
Now that I'm thinking, Jordan Poole is a defensive liability a lot of times, because in that Florida State game, John Beilein put him in. I think he messed up on offense, and then he completely whiffed on defense.
And then probably
he has a lot of defensive lapses, so I think that's why John Beilein isn't playing him as much right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially in that kind of games, too, where points were so hard to come by.
Exactly.
I can definitely see that decision being made by Beilein.
And I definitely think Florida State kind of blew this game, honestly.
Really? Michigan kind of had this one in control, I thought. I mean, in the second half.
Okay, so Florida State, they started off this game pretty good.
They had a great first half. They were controlling it.
In the second half, they didn't play Komaji or Obiagu. Obiagu lit Michigan up with blocks.
Yes, he did.
He came in for a few
minutes. What
minutes.
did he finish with blocks-wise? What was it, like 5?
He had to have 4 in the first half.
Yeah, it was about 4. I'm not seeing it right here.
And they were loud blocks, so these aren't just little pets. They're loud.
He only played 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Really?
And he had 3 or 4 fouls, though, earlier.
No, he only had 2.
Really?
He had 2 fouls all game. That's what I said. Me and my dad were talking about it. He was the one that, on defense, was hurting Michigan the most, because Michigan would just throw it up at the basket, and Obiagu's one of those guys that he's going to leave his man, and he's going to try to trail you every time. And Michigan never really seemed to catch on to that, so they would just throw it up to the basket, and he would just pin it every time. Yeah, he only had 2 fouls in this game.
Komaji got into foul trouble later on.
Yeah.
He only had, they're showing 2 fouls on this. I thought he had
4 when he went out.
But
I remember him having 3
he only played 7 minutes himself. So it seems to me like Florida State, I realize that they rely a lot on their bench. Their bench averages over 30 points a game. But when you have such a size advantage over Michigan, why in the world would you go away from it? Especially if it's working in the first half. To only play those 2 big men a combined total of 14 minutes, that seems like a failed coach right there.
It may be because in the second half, those guys, they are defensive players. They're kind of offensive liabilities. Komaji and what's the other guy's name?
Obiagu.
And Obiagu.
Say it 5 times to get it.
Both of them, their strengths are defense. You may give it to them once or twice in a game and see what happens, but yeah, they're mainly in the games for defense. You put in some of those bench players to get buckets in the paint. So
yeah,
that's the one thing I could come up with.
Yeah, I mean, just for them, though, to be leading for most of the game and to kind of...
I mean, they were down, what? It was like 51-44 at a point in the second half.
They chucked up a lot of threes in that second half.
Yeah, and they're not an offensive team to begin with, to kind of go away from
it was kind of their game.
To go away from their game plan just seemed a little bit weird.
Yeah. I think his Phil Kofer's shot stopped falling. So
that hurt.
The offense wasn't
that definitely hurt them, too. I mean, either way, I'm glad Michigan won.
Yeah. But it was just kind of an interesting way for Michigan to win, especially when they scored 99 in the game prior to.
Yeah.
Like, I think that just the length and athleticism of Florida State was huge in this one. And interesting too, like we're talking about the minutes for Livers and Jordan Poole. Like you said, Poole played 2 minutes. Livers played 12 and he started. Beilein's been really kind of trusting his leaders on this team, his veteran guys. Duncan Robinson played 31 minutes. Wagner actually only played 25, which is a little surprising, but I mean, you had Charles Matthews, 39, Abdul Rahman had 39, and I'm wondering, I know they're only 1-game instances, and you have a couple days off, but are the tired legs going to kick in for Michigan in the Final Four?
I don't think so.
No.
Muhammad Ali Abdul Rahman has played some of the highest minutes in the Big Ten this year. He averages around 30. And a lot of times above 30 minutes.
And in his 4 years that he's played at Michigan, too, he's played a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he has.
So I think he's used to it. I think he's used to the grind. But going off of Rockman real quick, he needs to stop pump faking the ball and just shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Because in this game, he pump faked, sidestepped too many times, and he's not that kind of shooter. He's more of a knockdown shooter.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's not that great off the dribble. And every time he would do it, he wouldn't like commit to either shooting or going to the basket.
It was a hesitant.
That was back. Yeah, it was weird. I want to see him be more aggressive. I think he can play more like Charles Matthews has. Let that get you going, and then your shot should fall. I think he's going to be a key in this Final Four.
And I think hesitation is huge when it comes to these key guys. When they start to hesitate, that's when they start to struggle. I mean, you see it even on the pro level. Now, I know I'm going to get some backlash from you guys when I bring this up, but when Blake Griffin started with the Pistons, he consistently pump faked and hesitated shooting his perimeter shots. Now he's shooting more under control, not hesitating, just going up with the shots. He's shooting about 40% from deep now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it plays at both levels, collegiate or pro.
All right.
When you're more decisive, you're a better player.
Yep.
And then moving on, we're going on to the next matchup we had in the Elite Eights. Villanova, Texas Tech. Villanova, another kind of decisive win. They won 71-59. They were kind of up ahead in this one kind of the whole way too there, Joe.
Yeah, they just look good. I think they've been the most consistent throughout
Texas
this
Tech went
tournament.
farther than I expected. I know they're a 3 seed and a lot of people expecting a lot from them, but
Texas
I thought
Tech-
they were a very loose 3 seed
Yeah.
and they could have been upset early on.
They deserve a lot of credit for the run
Yes.
they've had because still, even with them going against Villanova, most people didn't pay attention to Texas Tech.
No, nobody.
Even going into this game.
Right. No, they look good.
Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing much to break down here. Nova's just looked really solid throughout the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson, again, another solid game. I mean, his point total wasn't huge, but he was under control, 15-4-4. And they advanced into the Final Four. And then we got Kansas Duke, which was probably the game of the weekend.
Fantastic game.
Such a good game.
I missed
What's
it.
that look? Joey!
I know. But after the Michigan win, I could just all that stress was gone, and I just kind of relaxed on Sunday.
How did you not? You didn't want to watch Kansas
I know.
Duke?
I know. I kind of just paid attention to it, but I didn't actually watch it. So
All right,
that's a
what-
failed
all
on
right.
my part.
That's all right, Joe. Don't worry about it. 85-81 Kansas. It looked like Duke was going to pull away late in this one. A lot of interesting decisions down the stretch. Malik Newman looked fantastic.
He was
Yeah,
amazing.
he's looked good all
32
tournament. I
and
know
7.
Malik's brought it up before in the last episode, but yeah, he looks like their best player, honestly, right now.
Yeah, and especially early on in the year, he didn't seem like that. Didn't seem so aggressive, and it's good to see him kind of get into that groove. Malik, I want to throw it to you because we talked a lot before the show, and you had some points you wanted to bring up when it comes to this game. What'd you see from this Kansas Duke matchup?
Coach K got thoroughly outcoached by Bill Self. And
Really?
I don't think it's close. I mean, the entire game, Bill Self did the same thing. Malik Newman ran up and down the baseline every single time, up and down the baseline. And then somebody would set a pick for a center and they throw an alley-oop. Now, the alley-oop
Just that-
failed about 5 times, but Malik Newman would get open and hit a 3.
Yeah,
And then the oop started working in the second half. And instead of,
he never adjusted.
Coach K tried to counter against that stuff instead of just going in the flow of the game.
Yeah,
Bill Self controlled the entire game, and Coach K was scrambling to call something on defense because man-to-man doesn't work, so he switched to the zone. The zone was getting exposed. There was nothing Coach K could find for them to run on defense. So Bill Self wins the day for him and Malik Newman. They win the day.
him and Malik Newman. I mean, we had some really good games kind of throughout. I think we should have seen more from Marvin Bagley, and Grayson Allen struggled in this one. Grayson Allen did not play well. He finished with 12 points and missed 10 shots, 3 of 13.
Them
He
not
played-
giving Marvin Bagley in the game was that was
another-
completely boggled my mind. Completely.
That was very
every
odd
time they gave
decision.
him the ball, he worked in the paint, and they just didn't give him the ball.
Yeah, especially he just put so much pressure on the defense for the defense to have to
Exactly.
trying to pay attention to him. Opens up so much, and it seemed like they just for some reason went away from that. And I never really got the gist of it. And I think the more you talk about it, Coach K did seem to get out a little bit out coached there, especially down the stretch when Duke did have a chance to win this game. Joe, I know you didn't watch this game, but you have any thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, I definitely thought that Duke kind of blew it. I looked at my brother's Twitter, and he's a big Duke fan.
Shout out Jordan Tysick.
He picked up Duke to win the whole thing.
I did too. Yeah, it's the rest of piece of Duke.
He told me that the Kansas's best player was the ref late in the game.
Oh.
But like I said, I didn't see the game, so I can't really comment myself. So I don't know if it was.
I heard a lot of Duke fans saying that on Twitter.
Oh,
too.
I know what he's talking
Questionable.
about, the charge.
Yeah, the questionable charge at the end of regulation.
Wendell Carter got taken out of the game. He fouled out. It was an obvious charge. Everybody saw it. And the ref calls a block. Everybody watching, the commentators, everybody, it was clearly a charge. It was,
Okay.
that's the one call I can understand. But
All right.
besides that,
So
it
yeah,
was
that's
a pretty fair game.
So there's definitely at least a chance. But yeah, I mean,
it was a critical moment of the game,
Yeah.
where,
Right.
and that call really kind of decided how regulation was going to
yeah,
go.
but it's going to be tough no matter what when Grayson Allen is struggling like that. Like,
Yeah.
like I've said in the past,
he's their true.
he's kind of their
perimeter
leader,
threat.
and he just didn't play very well, and it happens. But
I mean, I feel like for Grayson Allen, if his shot's not falling, he's not contributing offensively. He's got to start tripping people. Like, just get the team going, get the morale up. I don't know. I mean, maybe
it might have worked.
Yeah, speaking of Twitter, a lot of people are happy Grayson's career is over.
I mean,
He's going to be at the next level.
now
yeah, maybe Europe.
I'm not sure if he is going to be.
No,
At
I think he will.
I don't think.
I
He's
think
an
he'll find
NBA
his
player.
way. I think he'll find his way.
All right.
Oh,
Quick
no.
sidetrack here. Quick sidetrack here, guys.
For the record,
Who is the better player? If you're an NBA scout and you're scouting these two, who are you looking at more? LiAngelo Ball or Grayson Allen?
oh my gosh.
I'm going Grayson Allen all day
Grayson
long.
Allen.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
LiAngelo Ball hype is terrible. But
You have tape of Grayson Allen.
yeah, you
over
don't.
The years.
You really don't have tape of
Yeah.
LiAngelo Ball.
You've seen several things of Grayson. You know who he is.
Yeah.
And
You can sub him in if you need a
Yeah.
flagrant foul. Someone get him out there easily.
LiAngelo's such a question mark.
Yeah, it's really he's a second round last
Even
five pick
somebody's gonna draft him
based
I-
off name only. I
yeah.
feel like because I feel like he doesn't have, like you said, enough tape, enough stuff for scouts to work with.
Even with how good of a shooter is, he's an undersized small forward. And
He doesn't have the
that
he doesn't have
usually
he doesn't have the ball handling skills of a guard.
he doesn't.
He can't. But yeah, moving on. I thought that was really interesting. That game, especially the calls at the end there. Now we have our Final Four matchup. We have Loyola Chicago versus Michigan, and I am extremely sad to see that this might be the end of this show's favorite team, Loyola Chicago.
Sister Jean's reign is over.
Did you guys see Jalen Rose's mom did the
Yes.
video too?
Yes.
I
His
thought
grandma.
that was
His grandma.
It was a grandma. Sorry about that. All right, Joey. I want to lead it with you, and then we're gonna go to Malik for his preview of this one. What are you thinking here? Loyola Chicago versus the Wolverines. Break it down for us.
Whew. They are very similar teams. And if Michigan comes out flat, they're going to be in trouble because it's going to be a tough game to come back from because, like I said, Loyola Chicago takes good looks and they still play defense. So they're not just going to run you off the court and not play defense. They're going to do it from both ends of the floor. They're going to play solid basketball all game long. So Michigan's going to have to come out firing on all cylinders. And I'm not saying they have to be like they were against Texas A&M, but they have to shoot better. They have to be more aggressive, take advantage of maybe a little bit of a size advantage, maybe on the guard side. Charles Matthews, again, I think needs to step up in this game. I think he has a good chance to.
They have a lot. Michigan has a lot more athleticism on the wings,
Right,
there,
and
too.
this will be an easier guard for Wagner to guard Krutwig. The boards might be a little bit of an issue, though, because Krutwig can get some rebounds.
Yeah,
And again, Loyola Chicago is just kind of a hustle team. So it'll be interesting. They're definitely very similar teams. I don't want to see either one lose. I am guessing Michigan's going to win this game. I'm hoping that they do. But I won't be entirely disappointed if Loyola Chicago makes it to the championship game. I just wish these teams would have been on opposite sides for sure.
Same here. I'm gonna go to Malik before we go to your pick there, Joey, and that one. Malik, what's your breakdown? What are you looking for this one? I know you've been watching Michigan all year long. What do the Wolverines have to do to get past Loyola?
What they have to do, they just have to keep playing the defense they've continued to play throughout the season. I mean, I expect Loyola to get off to a hot start. I think they're going to keep firing on all cylinders, but I think once Michigan gets that defense settled in and Beeline starts making adjustments, then it'll start swinging the Michigan side. And I think Mo Wagner is the key factor to this game. I think he scores at least 18 or 20 points because when he goes out to the three-point line and he starts putting those moves on Krutwig isn't quick enough to handle Mo Wagner.
I wonder how many minutes they'll have Krutwig actually matched up against Wagner, because that could be very difficult for Krutwig to guard him, because Wagner's got a lot of not foot speed, but a lot of footwork.
Yeah,
I think
Good footwork.
Krutwig's a little bit underrated, at least in post defense. Obviously,
But mostly on the perimeter.
obviously, you take him out to the perimeter and he's going to be a little bit in trouble. But I think he moves his feet well down in the post, so that's a little bit dangerous. And he's no slump on the offensive end himself either. He'll
give Mo problems.
Yeah,
to
he
start.
could give
He
Wagner
will.
some problems on the other end, just because of that size advantage, and he has a soft touch around the basket, so that'll be a good matchup in general. And Wagner's not always making moves towards the basket, so that'll be interesting to see if maybe he tries to attack Krutwig a little bit.
I think whenever he has the mismatch, he does. Like against Michigan State, when he went against Tillman and Ward, he went off the dribble almost every time against them because they couldn't handle him when he started dribbling.
Yeah,
Right?
I wonder if Krutwig will kind of fall into kind of the issue that a lot of paint dominant big men do and stay in the post when Mo's going to try to draw him out. If Krutwig's going to get drawn out to the perimeter and start to guard Mo close to the perimeter, or stay back and kind of guard the paint and protect the paint.
I'm assuming that they're gonna.
I know they're going to try to tell Krutwig to make sure to get out there, but it'll be interesting to see if he falls back onto his kind of his old stuff.
But like I said too, Loyola Chicago is very good at their defense, just like Michigan, where they're really good at rotations. So if any time that a mismatch happens, I think that they'll rotate over pretty good. It's just as long as Michigan sees the mismatch that they need to attack.
Is there any other Loyola players that Michigan needs to key in on?
Obviously, I think Ben Richardson after the last game, I think he was a guy that was under the radar beforehand, but now I think he needs to be on the Michigan radar for sure.
I don't think any individual player. I think that entire starting five. I mean, they all have abilities. They all can.
They
put the
play
ball
well
in the
off
hole,
each
so,
other too.
Yeah, their ball movement, the way they move around and run that offense. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're going to get off to a hot start.
As it stands right now, Vegas has Michigan -5, so they're favored to win this one. And then the ESPN matchup predictor has the Wolverines at a 73.5% chance of winning this one. That scares me a little bit, just being a
much
skeptic.
confidence.
Too much confidence in the Wolverines.
I'm pretty sure that predictor has had stats like that for every Loyola Chicago.
Probably.
That's what scares me a little bit. Joey, I'm going to throw it to you. Give me your prediction.
I got to go with Michigan. I picked them to win the whole thing, so I got to stick to it.
You got a score for us? You just want to rock with Michigan?
No.
All right.
Rocking with Michigan.
Malik, I know. I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm interested.
Yeah, I think it's going to be close throughout the first half. But in the second half, I think Michigan will start to shut them down because one-on-one, Loyola doesn't have any really good one-on-one players that can just take over a game. It's their offense and the way they shoot and the way they work together. I think they'll put the clamps down on them in the second half. I think Xavier Simpson gets 3 or 4 steals, some big defensive possessions.
I think if this one's close, we're going to have an issue because the Xavier Simpson free throw shooting is not solved.
Oh, yeah, that's still a
big
concern.
I don't think it's going to be a blowout game.
I'm very glad that Michigan found Duncan Robinson in the end of that Florida State game because that was very concerning. And
Charles Matthews hit 7 free throws in the last game, which
that's
is surprising. But
that's another thing that I want to touch on.
I'm not as worried
quick.
about Charles as much as Xavier, but yeah.
Did you see the issues that Michigan had inbounding the ball against Florida State?
That's another issue too.
They would look
how long and athletic they were. It really messed them up for a while.
Yeah.
I know, but if you looked at it, they looked at their guards coming to the ball and they just didn't pass it to them. I don't know why. Michigan was just like scared to pass the ball in.
A lot of hesitation.
It's going to be that's not good for the end of the game to be bad at free throws and to be scared to inbound the ball. Those are two big concerns if this game is close.
All right, you guys are rocking with Michigan. I'm a Michigan fan, but I'm picking Loyola because it's a Cinderella team. Loyola's the team of the show.
They would be the first 11 to ever make the
first
national
11.
championship.
You know what? This is the year if anything's going to happen. A 16 seed
did-
beat a
16
1
seed
seed,
did
guys.
one. It's very possible.
I'm going with Loyola. I'm hoping Michigan does, but Loyola's my pick in that one. And then we got Villanova, Kansas. I think
this is going to be a phenomenal game.
This is going to be a great game. I'm rocking. There's not much to depict for me. I'm going with Nova. I'm just backing Jalen Brunson, whatever matchup he's in. Malik, Nova, Kansas. Who you got?
I'm going Villanova. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Amari Spellman. I mean, Amari Spellman is going to give those Kansas big men so many problems because he can hit from outside and he can drive inside and bang on somebody. I mean,
he's kind of that whole package.
There are going to be some mismatches for Kansas. They're going to have to figure that out. And I think Self could figure it out, but it's going to be a tall task. Villanova's really good.
Yeah.
Probably the best team in the country.
They have to shut down Malik Newman. That's their big test. Yeah. And I think JP Makura is going to be a big factor in this game.
Makira played for Xavier.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I'm thinking of the other blue team. No, but this game is interesting in the fact that the teams match up really similarly. They have two big star guards, Devontae Graham for Kansas. You got Jalen Brunson.
That might be the best matchup of this tournament.
So
I'm excited to see that.
Yeah,
they're really similar. They're two powerhouses that are there every year for the last few years. Kansas not as much recently, but I think Villanova is just too deep of a team. So I'm gonna go with Villanova too.
Yeah, I'm rocking. We're all rocking with Nova. So that leaves just a general consistency here. I want to see, since next time we're on the airwaves, we will have a national champion.
Yeah.
I want to hear who you guys got winning it all. Malik, go for it.
If it's Michigan Villanova,
who you picking, Malik? Speak with your heart, man. What does your heart want to say?
Oh man, I don't think I can make a decision right now because Michigan Villanova that would take a lot of time for me to think through. And
I'll give you 2 seconds.
I haven't thought.
All right, Joey.
Michigan all the way, easy, done.
So Joey's got Michigan.
I'm saying because I picked them from the get-go. I picked them to win the Big Ten tournament. I don't know why.
You're the #1 Wolverine fan in this building, even with Malik here.
I don't know why it's working out the way it has, but I picked them. And I'm going to stick to it. But either way, if Loyola somehow wins this game, I'm picking Loyola. I'm picking that side of the bracket no matter what.
All right.
I want the underdog team, even though Michigan's not as much of an underdog.
I've made my decision.
We're back to breaking news. Malik has a decision. Let's hear it.
Even bigger, shocking news. I'm taking Michigan to win. And it is because John Beilein, I think in the end, if he goes against Villanova, which I think it will be Michigan Villanova, I think Beilein will outcoach Wright. Somehow he'll get it done.
And in my prediction, so I have Loyola versus Villanova.
Not a lot of people watching this game. Not a lot of Chicago and Philadelphia are going to be the biggest ratings of this one.
Everyone's going to see Sister Jean.
You know who you're going to pick in this game. If you don't pick the Ramblers to win this game, if you don't pick Sister Jean to win the national championship,
Sister Jean is going to outcoach Jay Wright. He said it first.
I'm rocking with the Ramblers.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
It all. I mean, if there's ever a tournament that's going to happen, it's going to be this tournament. You had a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. You have so many underdog teams. I mean, you have Kansas State, Syracuse, all these teams that really there was not much expectation for. Loyola, to say the least. If there's going to be a year for an underdog to win it all, it's this year.
And
let's rock with the Ramblers.
You got to think about it. Loyola Chicago playing Villanova would be incredible as a storyline. The number 11 seed
versus
playing the 1 seed that
probably the best one, the best team in the country.
At least they've been there more than Virginia was, even though they were technically the number one seed. But Villanova was right there behind them. So if Loyola Chicago gets to the championship game and takes out Villanova, that's incredible.
I think we might be in for maybe the greatest storyline in decades. I mean, if Loyola beats Villanova, come on.
Oh, yeah. They haven't had a national championship since 1963.
Plus, we're going to get a Sister Jean 30 for 30. I can't wait for that.
Oh, man. I didn't even think about that.
So that's going to
What if I told you?
Did you guys see that she gave them permission to merchandise her image and her name?
Gosh. So I'm getting a little tired of Sister Jean.
There's actually 20 different T-shirts. I just kind of
that last interview where they talked about going on a date with Charles Barkley. That was
I did not see that. That was weird.
Yeah, like hanging out with Charles Barkley. Did you see that, Malik?
I did not, and I'm happy I didn't see it.
It was awkward. I felt like she didn't really understand the question fully, so it was just kind of a weird scenario.
Where was this interview? Was it an ESPN interview or
no,
TBS?
It was, TBS. Yeah, whenever the last game was. And they interviewed her in the tunnel.
And Charles asked for a date or something?
They asked to hang out with Charles, and she said something along the lines of if he's not playing right now or something, how he's washed up. It was really awkward. And
listen, I hope Loyola Chicago does not win the championship because we do not need a full summer of Sister Jean traveling around the world on Instagram, meeting celebrities. I don't think we need that in our lives.
She'll have the greatest tour of any...
The greatest 98-year-old summer of all time.
What if I told you a 98-year-old woman could win a national championship.
Yes. Oh man. All right. So that's gonna do it for our. Crazy enough, that's gonna do it for our March Madness coverage here on Views for the Sidelines.
I mean, we'll go over the championship.
Oh
game
yeah,
next
we'll
week.
we'll go over it, but when it comes to predictions,
Yeah, that's always tough.
It's
been fun.
It's weird, yeah. I mean, the fact that I'm still happy about our Loyola pick, man.
Yeah,
we had them in
worked
the
out.
Elite Eight, and they're in the Final Four, and they're gonna win the championship. I mean, I'm pumped. But yeah, I want to now quick transition here a little bit to the depressing side of things, guys. Our weekly Detroit Pistons update.
Are we almost done talking about the Pistons?
We're never. If I'm running the show, we're never done.
Like, how much longer is the NBA till the off season? Can we get to the draft time? Oh wait,
I mean, we won't talk about the Pistons much when playoffs come.
we won't talk about them during the draft either.
They have a second round pick. LiAngelo Ball, second round
Grayson
pick.
Allen.
I mean,
Please
Bring back with
don't say
Luke
either
Kennard?
Of that, please. Oh no.
get
I
the
do
Duke
not
family
need-
together.
I want that just for
Why?
that reason.
At that
That-
point, I'm
that's
out
no-
on Stan Van if
For-
that happens.
for that
I'm not on
reason-
Stan Van right now. I mean, I'm done with the
for
guy.
that reason alone, the Grayson Allen Luke Kennard connection, I'm okay with that.
Anyways, we got a couple minutes here left in the show, so let's kind of get into it. Pistons lost in OT to Houston last week, 100-96. They choked that game away. They were up 88-86. Andre Drummond, with the ball on the rim, swatted it away with 30 seconds left for whatever reason, because he wanted to get another rebound.
Somehow he's not always the brightest guy out on the court.
Just like he's got such
He doesn't have a
potential-
good IQ.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
does not have a good basketball.
Sometimes
IQ.
it just kind of like
so
disappears.
much talent, but
Yeah.
just no IQ.
Yeah, but then so that tied the game at 88. They come down the court, run a play for Blake Griffin. Blake's on PJ Tucker, got a good matchup. Backs him down to the middle of the lane, fade away, and just airballs it.
Yeah,
that
and
was
that's
really
been
the
that's
game.
been Blake of recent years. He like settles for the fadeaway, and it's
I
not
mean-
that pretty. I know he's improved his shooting, but
His shot's been pretty nice. It was just really just I would have liked to see him attack him more.
Right.
Maybe go
Well, that's
straight
what
to the
I'm
basket.
saying.
Yeah. So they ended up losing 100-96 in overtime. They ended up scoring 8 points in overtime, but through the first 4 minutes they had 2 off 2 Ish Smith free throws. So it wasn't pretty. Again, overtime, they're 0-4 in overtimes this year. Another bad mark for them.
they just don't have a finisher. They haven't. And
Ever since Reggie went out
Now
with the
Reggie
injury.
Jackson
I-
is back. Oh,
he's not my finisher.
Hey, your finisher's in Milwaukee, all right? Anyways, moving on. The Pistons blew out the Bulls 117-95. Anthony Tolliver going off, had 6 triples.
going off.
He was.
Anthony
I mean,
Tolliver.
I'm just saying. The dude had 2
Against the
4-point
Bulls.
Hey, the Tolliver, you have to give the Tolliver effect his due.
Was Markkanen
Did you
still
just say
out?
the Tolliver effect?
Yes, I'm always going to say the Tolliver effect.
I think he's
You
a
need,
solid.
you need to copyright that
I
phrase
mean,
because I don't think anybody is going to use that ever.
I do think he's a solid player. But was Markkanen playing in that game? I didn't even watch. I'll be
No, he
honest,
was out.
I've
He was out.
given
Their
up on
whole
the Pistons.
their whole play.
Yeah,
all their players
they've
were out.
lost like
Dunn
all
was
their
out,
players.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, Reggie inched his way back. He looked okay. He looked solid.
I mean,
Tolliver effect T-shirts coming soon.
I'm
Just
kind of
kidding.
glad to see Reggie back. Honestly, just to see what the Pistons can do. Maybe in these last few games to see if
Yeah, and it's
they
nice
can get some chemistry going.
talking about getting the chemistry going. They kind of did in the Pistons-Lakers game. Pistons won 112-106. It got a little chippy in this one. Blake Griffin and Julius Randle were really going at it.
They were.
And it was kind of really fun to see. Just a little bit of chippiness in an NBA basketball game. Of course, it ended with them hugging at the end of the game, so it
Yeah.
really was.
And Julius
fake.
Randle's been a monster lately.
Yeah,
so.
yes. He got a lot of kind of calls favored his way too, which I thought was really interesting, especially with Blake being the name.
Right.
But yeah, Pistons looked good. Lonzo looked really good for the Lakers. I don't remember exactly I think it was like 16, 8, and 8 or something like that.
Yeah. It was like
uh,
a typical Lonzo.
He was
stat
7
line.
of 8 though from the floor. A
Yeah.
couple mid-range jump shots, a triple. He looked solid all the way around. A really nice dime all the way down the court, full court lob to Tyler Ennis in the fourth quarter. But yeah, Pistons came down, got away down the stretch. AT had a big time triple. James Ennis had a big time triple. Reggie Jackson made some plays down the stretch. Joey's closer on the Pistons. But yeah, the Pistons looked good. I know it's just the Lakers, but the Lakers were 21-13 coming into that game since January.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they've been solid. And
they've
the Lakers
improved.
didn't sit anybody. I mean, Brandon Ingram was out due to injury, but and Isaiah Thomas, but those guys were actually injured. It wasn't like they were
And
sitting for
the
rest.
Pistons locked out the Lakers from the playoffs in that game. Their 5th straight season out of the playoffs. Pretty incredible.
Do the Lakers win 35 games this year? They're at 31. Do they win?
I'll give them 35.
I had a friendly wager with a friend that they would not win 35 games. So I'm getting a little scared right now.
How many games do they have left?
It's like 8. So they'd have to probably go like 500.
500.
I think they can go 500.
Yeah, they might be able to.
I know, I'm a little worried. I'm not going to lie.
If they get their guys healthy.
And then I'm trying to find the tweet because I want to give a little Pistons playoff hopes as they sit 5 games out of the playoffs. If I can find it in time, I'll break it down for you for the scenarios that need to happen for the Pistons to somehow miraculously make the playoffs. But while I do that, I want to talk about Trey Burke for the Knicks. He was an option for the Pistons if they wanted to sign someone for backup point guard duties. He had 42 and 11 for the Knicks. Dwight Bikes is sitting on the Pistons bench. Another Stan Van Gundy miss?
Yeah.
Simple answer.
My guy, Brandon Jennings, coming back from China. Doing well. I mean, he hasn't got it the minutes now after that first crazy game, but
I was really surprised that Stan didn't take a shot at Brandon Jennings instead of swapping second-round picks for Jameer Nelson, who hasn't played a lick since.
Yep, there's plenty of talent out there. You just have to look for it, and something about the Pistons, they can never find it. I don't know. Couldn't even realize or couldn't even comprehend that Trey Burke was out of the league. After I thought he played solid, like for Utah and stuff. I mean, he wasn't great by any means, but I thought he was solid, and now you give him some time on the Knicks, and he's playing pretty well. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting to say the least. I couldn't find the tweet. So, Pistons, they're not going to make the playoffs anyways, but they're 5 games out.
I kind of know the breakdown. It's the Bucks have to lose, the
Bucks have to go about, I think it's like 3-6 in their last 9, and the Pistons have to go about 7-1 in their last 8.
And the Bucks play the Warriors, Celtics, Raptors, and I think they had like an easy team in there, but they have a harder schedule. The Pistons have somewhat of an easy schedule, but there's some trap games in there with the Knicks. I think it's not going to happen. But
but just something to talk about.
Wishful thinking, I guess. I'm not going to watch the games.
Breaking news: Joey will not be watching a Pistons game for the rest of the year.
I'm sorry.
To end out the show here, a little bit of upsetting news out of Grand Rapids. Grand Rapids Drive Forward, affiliate of the G League for the Pistons, Zeke Upshaw passed away at the young age of 26 due to what seems to be cardiac arrest. He collapsed on the court in the Drive clinching win for them to reach the postseason. We want to wish the Upshaw family our prayers and our condolences. Tough loss, really tough to see.
Oh yeah, it's really unfortunate, especially to see a guy doing so well. He started really coming into his own, and the Drive making their first G League playoffs in their small time in the G League, and he looked good in that game in particular too. He was playing really well, hit a couple clutch threes. It's just always a sad thing to see somebody go down, especially on court too.
Yep, definitely. We wish we could end on a better note, but we did have to talk about that. That'll do it for Views from the Sideline, episode number 12. Thank you for tuning in. That's our March Madness wrap-up. We'll talk about
National Championship this weekend.
Those Ramblers. Get ready for them. We want to say thank you to Malik Hill joining us once again, recurring guest here on the show. Malik, thanks for jumping into the studio with us.
Thanks for having me. I'll always be back if you
Appreciate that. And if we have the Wolverines, I mean, Malik will be back. That's a given.
Most definitely.
That'll do it for the show. We'll see you guys next time.
Go Blue.